Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Today we have a pretty exciting conversation about Black women and our relationships with our hair and our hair health and our experiences with our hair journeys. It's just going to get a few people in the room. We've got some guest speakers that are going to come on and talk about their personal hair journeys and personal hair experiences as well. But yeah, please feel free to share with your friends, get them in the room, and we'll get started momentarily. Hello, Sierra. Excited to have you all on here. So I'm going to get Whitman-Walker on here. And then we'll go ahead and start. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, Whitman-Walker's community health department has expanded its outreach efforts, hey Rama, to include the social media platform. We cover various topics around HIV and STIs and sexual health practices and access to care and social determinants of health and public health interventions. The community health team is here to educate and support you. Rama, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jewel, and I use she, hers pronouns, and today we're going to discuss experiences and health and relationships that Black women have with their hair. And I'm going to be joined by a few friends, family, sisters, ladies in my life who are going to share about their hair journeys and kind of just the narrative of their memories and experiences with their hair and learning to care for it. Rama, can you introduce yourself to the Instagram Live people?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to get myself adjusted so you can see my crown. Um,
I love it.
my name is Ram, and one of Jules' girls, she mentioned. And I work at Whitman-Walker in the community health department.
Thank you, Rama. So before we get started, just a little bit of data and background. In September 2014, the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology published a study article titled African American Women, Hair Care and Health Barriers by Dr. Rochelle Cochran Gathers and Meredith Grace Bahan. This was a qualitative survey of about 200 African American women ages 21 to 83, and ultimately concluded that a condition like hair loss affects a lot of Black women. Yet often if Black women go to their medical providers about their hair health, they often aren't getting the help and support or knowledge and understanding that they need. Black women also style our hair based on a myriad of reasons, including our environments, and engage in different levels of physical activity and entertainment based on the environment that we're in. So, for example, look at the movie Love and Basketball. In one of the opening scenes, a young Kyla Pratt is sweating out her freshly hot comb pressed hair that her mother is furious about. And, to be honest, I still avoid swimming and sweating and, humidity before I locked my hair, depending on what my current hairstyle is and if I freshly got it done and if I paid money to get it done. So that said, given years of policing Black people's hair in schools and workplaces and job interviews and the like, we now have the Crown Act of 2022. Very exciting. The Crown stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act, and it works to prohibit discrimination based on an individual's texture or hair style of their choice. And it just passed in the House, so hopefully we'll have it as a law sooner than later. But yeah, I have a little bit to share about my hair journey, but Rama, I'd love if you'd like to go first. You can also start off with yours.
Sure,
Or I can kick us off, either one.
sure. You want me to just go into it, or are you gonna ask me like what you want me to share?
I got some questions lined up. So Rama is the director of community health and wellness at Whitman-Walker, and she is passionate about using her health knowledge to create spaces for Black women to show up as their authentic selves. Rama, can you introduce us with your pronouns, please? And then we'll jump into questions.
My pronouns are her.
Thank you. So first up, can you describe how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen in one word and why you chose this word?
Um, Beautiful, but I need to use problematic as well because um although it's thick, it's beautiful, there was a lot of, but it had to be permed. I also heard it's rough, hard to handle. So it was hard to attach that beauty to it. It was when I got older and I decided to have my own natural hair journey, not have it based on European beauty standards of how my hair for it to be beautiful and what my curls look like. So flourishing in that and accepting that the beauty in my hair is exactly the curls from my
Exactly. The exact hair growing out of your head, because it's growing out of your head makes it beautiful.
nothing else.
Totally hear that in terms of kind of having to separate from the European beauty standards growing up. When you were growing up, who did your hair, and how old were you when you became responsible for doing your own hair?
Me.
I can now. It cut out for a little bit just now.
Okay. I am do have great wife Eric. But so, um I will say so I'm West African. I'm from Guinea of Mandingo and Fulani descent from both tribes. So my mother is Fulani and her hair, the finer curls or beautiful curl patterns I think that I thought was beautiful, just easier to handle. Which when people describe curly hair, it looked like my mom's. So not mine per se.
Mm.
So my beauty standard, it was more so I compared to my mom. So my hair wasn't as the coils weren't as soft, the weren't as defined, and putting in the ponytail was a task, like my mom's. Um, so yeah, so it was mainly I looked at my mom, I looked at girls with the straight hair. I just romanticized that. So getting a relaxed was something that it wasn't my choice. It wasn't my choice. Um, it happened so that my hair can. It was easier to manage to tame my hair. So when I natural, actually, no one believed me. Whether it's with my friends, I think I might have been a sophomore in college, and it was just I just did a big chop, and I was like, I'm done. I want my curl patterns. My curls matter.
Yes,
I was like that whole so and then now, my mom's hair, like, that finer curls, the looser curls, but I don't envy it. I love my hair.
exactly. It's such a journey to learn to love your hair. I think I had my second big chop in college as well, and that was when I was like, this is it. Like, I'm not putting any more of the creamy relaxer into my into my tresses. I'm just going to be taking care of my hair and learning how to do so from here on out. Um, what's one memory of your hair that stands out that didn't make you feel good growing up?
Just I'm, I think I became tender headed, or I classify myself under tender headedness because my hair wasn't handled with care. So when I went natural, it wasn't something that one of my main goals was to ensure that I was able to care for my hair. So my hair was pulled a lot when I was younger and growing up. Wasn't, when I didn't have the autonomy over my hair, when I thought this is what my hair should look like, as far as like when you put braids in it, or like how her pattern should be, or it should be straight, with like relaxer on. But I remember my hair always hurting, and scalp hurting, and I've had burns from relaxers. Um, Thankfully, it's just there's a lot of hair here, so there's for the gentleness and the care came from me and my hands, so that's why I'm super overprotective of my hair, and it's still till today, like when I enter spaces. Just the other day my hair was out. My dad asked me, what new style is this? Because to them it's not tamed. You're supposed to be polished, and my natural hair is not polished.
Mm,
It doesn't get more polished or more beautiful than this.
exactly. I hear that. I don't think my mom was a big fan of my locks when I first got them, and she might not still be a big fan of them, but it's my hair to do what I please with. So, um, you know, when in a few words, can you describe how you feel about your hair now and just kind of the moment where you truly fell in love with it?
My hair, think every day I the things that my hair can do, it's astonishing to me. It's so versatile. Like I'm like, oh, I'm the envy of this thing. So, so it's just more so again, the whole being my authentic my whole self in every space that I enter. I think it allows for women who look like me, whether what you deem as the professional setting, as the casual setting, as the personal setting, wherever you are, to just my hair allowed me to do in addition to like my voice, it's a part of my voice. So I think every single day I love it that much more.
Mm, that was poetry. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Rama. Well, I appreciate you taking this time to speak about your hair and your hair experiences and journey with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we pass it on to our next speaker, which is Ibakun?
I want to say thank you for this was so great. Like this, I think I'll count today as one of the most beautiful memories that I get to talk about my hair on the platform and what it means to me. So thank you for the platform, Jewel.
Thank you for the platform, Rama. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing the space and telling us about your hair.
Of course, our hairs matter.
Yes, yes, they do.
Mm-hmm. I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Joel.
Talk to you later.
Hey, I can't wait to hear everyone's story.
Yeah, we've got a really great lineup today. Uh,
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye. So we're going to do some switching over for some folks real quick in terms of who's on the Whitman-Walker account and whatnot. So in this time, I will speak briefly about some of my hair experience. Personally, I think I've always seen my hair as a bit of a career. Each job correlates with a different hairstyle and the necessary work to upkeep it. And there's always something that needs doing to it. So for me, growing up, my sister often did my hair, but definitely for special occasions like prom. I got my first perm around age 5, and it was an accident. Um, and I kept walking around saying, don't touch to my parents when I arrived home because they were trying to touch my fresh new hairdo. But I was just really excited about my chemically pressed tresses and didn't want anyone to touch it. Around 4th grade, my hair became my responsibility, and I mostly wore it in a low ponytail. And this was without any hair gel or anything on the baby hairs of the new growth. Once my perm had gotten to like 2 weeks old, and as I got older, my permed hair started to break off on its own. So I cut off my remaining hair and got braids to get me through middle school and high school. In high school, I had a hair bully who had to refer to me and my hair as Medusa whenever we crossed paths in the hallway. And I think he tried to joke about it, but in my opinion, we weren't friends to have any jokes between us. And so, let alone about my hair. Uh, by senior year and after about 6 or 7 years of wearing braids, I got another perm. This was during a time where the natural hair movement hadn't really kicked off all the way, and there were fewer natural hair products and fewer natural hair bloggers at the time. So by the summer of senior year, I had cut off my hair, and it had been breaking off on its own again, and I got braids again. 2 years into college, I went natural. 2 years into college, I went natural and started caring for my natural hair. I learned to cornrow, even though you could barely see the braid. It really just looked like a log of a fro. And it was during this time that I truly fell in love with my hair for the first time. Seeing what my hands could do to it and the brush that came with a great braid out or twist out were really great and like just a warm feeling for me. But of course, it could also come with its instant defeat if I didn't check the weather or the humidity of the day. That was just, taking your hair from like defined curls to just fro. Uh, and then after wearing my hair natural and in a fro for about 6 or 7 years, I remember a coworker at the time who was making the observation that so many Black women and folks they were coming across in meetings and whatnot were wearing their hair in this upward fro bun. So just like your hair in a bun on top of your head. That was a very accurate observation as it's a super time saving and cost effective hairdo. I know it was my go-to hairstyle for work. But fast forward to like 2019, I just locked my hair about 2 years ago, and I again find myself falling in love with my hair. It's a hairstyle change that I wanted to do for a while, and it was partly to free up some of the time and lost sleep I was experiencing in taking care of my fro. But all in all, that's a little bit about my hair journey to date, and I've also learned to continue to care for it in its different chapters of life and this job that is taking care of your hair. But that's a bit about me, and we're going to keep on going on and hearing from more friends and family and sisters about their crowns and how they've learned to take care of their hair. Get the next person in the room. Sometimes Instagram's a little bit slow. But thank you all for all the comments. Love the engagement in the chat. Getting two people on here briefly. One's Whitman-Walker and one is Ibakun. Hey Ibakun, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great.
Still trying to get Whitman-Walker in here, but the Instagram app is not wanting us to be great today.
Oh no. As usual.
Yeah, story of the life here. But we will add them as they come in.
Okay.
So Eva Kuhn is an AmeriCorps Washington AIDS Partnership Fellow at Whitman-Walker, and she's interested in the intersection of medicine and public health. Will you please introduce your name and pronouns for us?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan. Like Jewel said, I'm an AmeriCorps Fellow at Whitman-Walker, and I use she, her pronouns.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's just jump in. Can you describe to us how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen in one word and why you choose this word?
Yeah. I would say, okay, this is not one word, but we're going to make it one word. I would say like self-conscious. And the reason why I said this was because, like, as a child, I think it was really easy for me to like compare my hair with other people's hair, and kind of like I could tell that um, my hair wasn't like kind of like what Rama said. My hair didn't fit like the Eurocentric standards that the other people around me did, and I felt like pretty much self-conscious about it. Like, I definitely was like struggling with like being confident in myself because I know that like as a Black woman, your hair is such a big part of your identity. So just knowing like, from a child, like, wait, my hair isn't, not everyone that sees my hair is going to consider it beautiful. That definitely played a part into like my perception of my own hair.
Definitely felt that. Yeah, definitely felt that. Who did your hair growing up, and how old were you when you became responsible for your hair?
So like growing up, I grew up in Nigeria. My mom would do my hair like half the time, but if it was a handle, she would take me to the salon immediately. And I think I started doing my hair I think I was a freshman in high school, and that was when I decided to transfer. So, I had a perm or a texturizer. My mom would say whatever. It's still a perm, but I decided I wanted to transition in high school, like on my freshman year. And then obviously I had to go on that journey by myself because at the time my mom was like completely against it. She's don't want to deal with all that. That's which is funny now because she's a full natural. Like she big top. I mean, like her hair is popping. But anyways, hair in high school. Yeah.
And I think the phone cut out a little bit, but you said that you grew up in Nigeria and then you decided to go natural, and that's when your mom was kind of like, no.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your go-to hairstyle when you were natural, or like when you were in middle school and high school?
My go-to hairstyle, I was really experimentative. Is that a word? Like I was experimenting with everything. So I think, but the one hairstyle that I did the most were like either box braids or I would always do a twist out. Like box braids will always do me right, and then twist outs were always kind of fun to see. Like if I wanted to do a more chunky twist out, or like mini twists versus chunky ones.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I couldn't corner my hair till college, so my hair choices for my natural hair were super limited.
Yeah.
What's one memory that you have that stands out about your hair that didn't make you feel good?
I would say like growing up, like when I was talking about like not feeling like my hair was as pretty as other people, like when I would try to do a wash and go, I remember one day I did a wash and go just go to school, and someone was like what happened to your hair? And I was just like, oh no, like this is my wash and go, like this is they said it, they weren't saying it in a way that they genuinely wanted to know what's up with your hair. They were saying it in a way that was like, why aren't you aware about what's up with your hair? Like, why do you feel okay walking out like this? And to me, I was just like, wait, that didn't make me feel all that good. And I hope start moment I realized, you know, people had different standards depending on like the thickness or the coiliness of your hair. Because I have friends wash and go, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like your curls are so cute. And then I have my coils out and stuff, and everyone's just like, why did you do that? So I would say that was like a memory I had with my hair that did not make me feel so good.
Definitely hear that. I could not do wash and goes. That was not part of my hair's ministry. um,
On that, like I was really trying to do them when I was, you know, in high school, but it's too much work for it to last like 2 days. So
yeah, exactly. When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all of the possibilities that it holds?
I would say that I fell in love with my hair when I big chopped. So like I said, I transitioned, right? So that was my first like natural experience. But then when I was junior in college, I decided I wanted to cut all my hair off. I was like, I want to see what it's like straight up, like nothing, no chemicals, no like transitioning. So I big chopped, and that was like, yeah, 3 years ago now. And during that time frame, I really had to fall in love with myself because there was no hair on my head, you know. And like I already mentioned, I attached a lot of like my like not self-worth, but like my the way I perceive, or the way I think people perceive me. I connected it a lot with my hair, and when it was gone, I had to kind of like realize, you know, I'm way more than my hair. But then also when my hair grew back, I was like, wow, I missed you. Like, you know, like here are all the things we can now do. So like I literally just colored my hair like I think last month, and I'm gonna lock it up in May. So
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I've really like fallen in love with like just how versatile our hair is, and like we're not just limited to a certain like just like braids or hair. Like our hair can really do it all. So yeah.
Yes, it can.
So,
Yes, it can. Literally nothing can not be done to these crowns.
yeah.
In a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now and why these words?
I would say that I'm honestly lucky. Like I'm really happy. Like and which is so surprising because I don't think I would have said like I'm lucky to have my hair when I was younger because I really thought it was like a curse, so much work. But the fact that I can literally do so many different things, and like my hair is so resilient, like it's literally so resilient. So I definitely have like a more loving relationship with my hair. Like I'm more willing. Yes, I'm a lazy natural, but I am more willing to like, you know, take more time detangling or like, you know, picking certain hairstyles because I want to protect my hair or my edges. So I think I have a more like, positive relationship with my hair now than I did as a child. Like I don't look at it as a burden. It's something that I truly care about. And, yeah, I love my hair.
Yay! Well, welcome to Team Locks. If you need someone to start your locks, I will definitely recommend my person. Love them dearly, but also learned to do my hair during the pandemic. But thank you for
Okay.
being on here. Thank you for being on here and sharing your hair story with us. Really
Thank you for
appreciate
having me.
learning more.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Next up, we've got Dunstan-Net, and after that, we'll have Winnie and Sierra come on and talk about their hair experiences. So let me send out some invites to join the space. But hope you all are enjoying listening to Black women talk about their hair relationships and learning to love them. Hi, Dunstan-Net. How are you? You might have, if you have any Bluetooth headphones, because I'm hearing my echo back, that could be what the sound is.
Right. No, it was my
Okay, yes.
connecting to my headphones that so
Thank you, Sierra. You help take care of these. I appreciate you. Welcome, Dunstan-Net. Dunstan is a health communications master's student and my family. Thanks for joining us to talk about your hair today. I really appreciate you being here. Can you introduce your name and pronouns, please?
yeah, so my name is Dunstan-Net, and my pronouns are she, her.
Awesome. And I know that we were talking over the weekend about, hair health and Black women, and you shared some interesting information about stress and hair health. Do you mind sharing that in this space?
Yeah, so basically what I found was that according to 2018 study, Black women are almost 3 times as likely to develop alopecia than white women. And so in the study, it talked about the different factors that affect hair health. And I think what's interesting is the comparison, right? And the amount of stress, whether it be personal stress, environmental stress that Black women face in comparison to white women. And even talked about Latino women, and they're about 2 times likely to develop alopecia than white women. But, you sort of see how people of color and the stress that we encounter from racism, like interpersonal stress, whether it be finances or things like that, that affect our health, which ultimately affects our hair. And that sort of is a cycle, right? Because how we look affects our possibilities of getting work, of partnerships, all of those things. So it's like a terrible cycle.
Terrible cycle. Thank you for sharing that. Terrible news. But I do recall experiencing or seeing some family members experiencing hair loss during the pandemic, especially not that we've exited the pandemic, but like during the height of the pandemic and the stress that came with it. So it's real.
Yeah.
But to start off, can you describe for us how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen and in one word and why you choose this word?
Yeah, I felt I would describe my hair as a child as stressful. I have pretty, I would say, sensitive hair. It's not necessarily fine, but it responds, pretty badly to any kind of processing. If it's like blow drying, dye, perm, like all of that, my hair is just like, oh no, like we don't like this. So I was getting relaxers as a kid, and my hair would just like break off. So it didn't grow. And I think, especially with like Black women, your hair is part of your beauty. Beauty is such an important part of like our identity. So just getting teased and things like that. But once I stopped relaxing my hair, I think that changed.
It's hard to get off the relaxer early on, especially when we've been told that like straight hair is so beautiful and that's how you achieve straight hair if you've got kinky hair.
Exactly.
Who did your hair growing up, and how old were you when you became responsible for your hair?
Yeah, my mom mostly did my hair. Sometimes my sister would do my hair, and then we had like a hairdresser. Sometimes I would go to another hairdresser. So it's a bunch of people. And I started doing my own hair, I feel like consistently around 7th grade.
Okay. And what was one of your go-to hairstyles at the time?
Oh, a side ponytail. I loved a side ponytail when I was in 7th grade. I feel like that was really all I knew to do though, because I didn't really like wearing my hair out. And I'm like, oh, this is cute. I can like, shape the ponytail and it won't move because, it's like stiff.
Yes, definitely was about that ponytail life as well. What's one memory that you have that stands out that didn't make you feel good about your hair?
Ew. One memory. I feel like, yeah, it was around like 7th and 8th grade, just sort of the time period. I'd say really isn't one particular memory, but just like really struggling with my hair, retaining length in particular, how like, not having long hair made me feel. Like that time period was so weird and hurtful. It was more than weird, it was hurtful in particular, right? And so I think that definitely made me very self-conscious about my hair.
Yeah, I talked about my hair bully. I didn't mention that it was hurtful. It was not a fun experience. I dreaded seeing that person in the hallways. When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all of the possibilities it holds?
Yeah, when I was a senior in high school, actually the day of my prom hair, I got like a set like Rihanna, and that was really exciting. I was still relaxing my hair, but I think that was the first time that I actually took the reins of doing my hair and was like, this is the style this is how I want my hair to look. And I had a hairdresser who was happy to do that for me. And so from there, I really was completely self-determining how I wanted my hair to look. And from then on, it's been a positive journey.
We love a positive hair journey. In a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now, and why would you choose these words?
I would choose, one of the words I would choose is simple, right? That's how I feel. I feel like really simply about my hair. I feel like it belongs to me. And I feel like it is part of my self-expression. I think simple in that I don't see doing my hair as a burden, like the amount of time it takes. I mean, I found a process that works for me, so I really don't try to do that much. I have turned to a lazy natural. I mean, I think I was always lazy natural because styling my hair every day just seemed like not a great use of my time. So, this is what I can do with the time that I'm willing to dedicate to this, and it's fine. I think belongs to me. I really think that's important because so much of my choices around my hair were dictated by other people or how I thought people would see my hair or how they thought my hair should look, so on and so forth. And now I just do what I want. Like I mean, my whole professional life I've had natural hair. I have natural headshot. Like I've just been like, we're gonna go where we're gonna go with being natural. We'll see how far it gets us, right? Like not really worrying about how people perceive my hair because, you know, there are some terms we can use if people feel some kind of way about my hair. And and then really self-expression. I mean, I think the wonderful thing about um, having natural hair, as was stated before, is that it's so versatile. And so I don't change my hair every day, but sometimes I feel like, oh, I want a twist like I have now, or I want braids, or I'm gonna cut it, or I'm gonna put on a wig, or I'm gonna do a whole bunch of things, and it's really up to me about how I want to wear my hair. And I think that's so beautiful. And I'm happy that I feel more comfortable with my hair. And I'm just like, I'm going to do me and people can adjust.
Ah, yes. We should all be doing us for our hair and people can adjust. I really love what you said about basically planning out your hair. Like I take so much joy in kind of planning out these different life chapters for my hair, like having a fro for 6 or 7 years, having these locks for as long as I might have them, and having braids back in the day. But thank you so much for being on this space today and for sharing some of your hair journey with us, as well as those hair stats around stress and then hair loss in Black women. We really appreciate that knowledge as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Winnie and Sierra, and then after that, we'll have Eva.
Oh.
I don't know how to kick you off here, to be honest.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Hey, Winnie. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear
sweet.
me?
Yeah, very well.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks for joining us today. Winnie is a hairstylist and personal and fitness blogger. And we're here to hear about some of her hair journey and also to see and admire her beautiful plants in the background.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Plant mom. I was
Yes.
like, let me display. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. Can you introduce your name and pronouns for us, please?
Yeah, I'm Winnie and I go by she and her.
Awesome. Thank you. And can you please describe how you felt about your hair or as a child or a teen in one word and why you chose this word?
I chose impossible, but I also wanted to go with non-existent because when I was younger, actually, I grew up in Kenya, but like in the village in Kenya. And where I grew up, there was no such thing as hair. It was bald, everybody, boys, girls, didn't matter. So when we migrated here in 2001, we went to a predominantly white school. And I was the only little girl walking around with no hair. So with that, I just, I felt kind of like invincible. Nobody really understood my hair and it was kind of a struggle. So I always said from about 5th grade to sophomore year of high school, non-existent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when it became existent, I guess, in high school in high school, who was doing your hair for you and what age did you become responsible for your hair at?
So when I started in high school, it was because a really good friend of mine ended up introducing me to beauty salons, and like I started wearing wigs in sophomore year of high school, and it was like, I didn't really have a go-to hairstylist or anybody that understood African American hair. So it was literally wigs from sophomore year all through college, basically. I had, the here and there I'd have braids, but I'd be so self-conscious about it because nobody looked like me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately just wanted to blend in. And the European standard, really, I did fall under that group. And I think in some way I still do. But, yeah, we'll explain that later.
But all about what makes you feel beautiful
Right,
with your
right,
hair and your
right,
hairstyles.
right.
What's one memory that you have that stands out that didn't make you feel good about your hair?
It's funny because when you mentioned hallways, I immediately was like, oh, that, like, I even typed it triggering because I'm like, oh my God. So the one time I decided to get braids in high school, I have very, 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 very fine, very thin hair. So with that, braiding is almost like you almost can't braid hair like that because everything just falls off. So, and I used to run track. So it was, it was right after track practice, and I'm going to pick up my stuff from the locker, and I'm literally walking down the hallway, and I still remember it very vividly. And one of my braids fell on the floor, and again, predominantly white school. It was a nightmare because I didn't live that down. I was known as the girl that lost her hair in the hallway, and it was just a hot mess. But yeah.
Oh God, those were such scary times. I feel like I was, traumatic, and well, it was a traumatic experience. Like I remember being
Yeah.
in the hallway and just praying that nothing came out because I did wear braids as well.
Yeah.
And every so often something can fall out by like natural, lifespan of a braid. But
Girl,
kids are
yes.
mean.
Right. Oh, awful, awful.
When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all the possibilities it holds?
2017, and I repeat it all the time because it was when I started actually going to DC. Jersey girl here anyway, but Bergen County, New Jersey, very, nothing happening over here. So I started going to DC, and I had, brunching or whatever it was. I'm like, I'd see a bunch of girls like you and everyone you've had on so far, and it would just be straight admiration. It would just, I wanted it. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to be it, basically. So in 2017, I started doing more braids. I started doing a little bit more natural. And that's when you actually met me, when I did the bald. I shaved my head. I was like, you know what? We're going to embrace this. And yeah, that's when I really started to embrace the journey.
Oh, I totally hear that as well. Like, there's nothing like seeing other people empowered with their hair to kind of inspire you to do yours differently or just
Right.
embrace more change with it.
Right.
And my last question for you today, in a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now and why these words?
So it really is, it's my craft. You know what I mean? I ended up taking what was, if not the most traumatizing time of my childhood, and turning into a business and falling in love with it and embracing everything that came with it, and in a way, going to beauty school really, really helped a lot because I was able to understand all the issues that was happening. Because in the Black community, when you're thinning or whatever it's called, the first thing people say is like, oh, you have no edges, or, those insults that come with everything. And I ended up later finding out, like I told you, I was diagnosed with areata alopecia. And my immune, my autoimmune is actually like my hair follicles are being attacked. So I didn't understand it at the time, and I hated myself for it, and I hated my hair for it. But I was like, you know what? No, 2020, I started that journey. I fell in love with it. And now I really I love all the versatility. Again, versatility. I could have wigs today. I could have braids tomorrow. I could be bald. You know what I mean? And I'm embracing all of it, and I love it. Hopefully I'll have locks one day, but
I'm going to use this space to convert people today.
Right. I'm like, who knows? Right.
Well, thank you, Winnie, and thank you for sharing your hair health and hair journey with us. We really appreciate you sharing your voice in this space.
Thank you for having me, Jewel. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Trying to keep up with you. You look beautiful as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Next up, we've got Sierra, and then we'll have Eva, and then Princess. Let's get them on stage. Hope y'all are enjoying the conversation. I'm super enjoying hearing people's hair stories. Yeah, I think everyone knows how traumatic and stressful at that time of learning to do your hair was growing up. And so it's cool to just to hear other people's stories and their experiences. One second while Instagram catches up. People who are in the chat, feel free to tell us what your go-to hairstyle was as a teenager, like the easiest one for you to do. All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to add Eva in the interim, and we'll come back to you, Sierra. Let's see if this will let us.
Oh shit.
Hey!
Was I supposed to jump in? I got the invite.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is good. Thank you.
I put my
Welcome.
hair down.
Welcome, Eva. Thanks for joining this Instagram Live. Really appreciate you
Having
joining.
me.
Yeah, so Eva is an award-winning photographer and activist. Will you please introduce your name and pronouns for us?
Yeah, my name is Eva Woolridge, she, her pronouns. And yeah, activist specifically in the reproductive health realm, which I should have mentioned earlier, but I didn't.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. To start off, can you describe how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen in one word and why you chose this word?
I guess confused is the one word. It's hard to put it down in one word, but being mixed with Black and Chinese and white, it was just separated me for the different hair textures that I was around. There was, which I think a lot of mixed kids feel, like my hair didn't relate enough to like my Black friends, so I would get teased that I had white hair, and then it wasn't as glowy, I guess, as my white friends. So I didn't know where I was placed in the conversation about hair.
Yeah. And here's no, I mean, not, well, yeah, I feel for the mixed race kids growing up. So I think I definitely felt like, oh, your hair's probably way easier to do than mine. But at the same time, I, watched y'all struggle with learning to do your hair on your own and being in that middle ground of people not thinking that your hair struggle was the same
Yeah.
and vice versa. So thank you for sharing that. Who did your hair growing up and how old were you when you became responsible for your hair?
My mom did my hair a lot. And honestly, my dad, like, I would get hairbrushes stuck in my hair all the time. I remember there was like a big event of an entire day of my dad trying to pick out one of those rolling hairbrushes because I completely caught my hair into that. So it was either cut all of my hair off or um, pick it out for hours, which I committed to having my dad pick it out for hours. And yeah, my mom would do my hair as well. But again, I think mostly I just put my hair up because I didn't know what to do with it.
Mm. Yeah. Go-to hairstyles are important. What's one memory that you have that stands out about your hair that didn't make you feel good?
That didn't make me feel good. When I had a lot of Black friends say that my hair was white, like I had white girl hair, because it was like erasing my Black identity, and I can't help with the hair that I grew up with. And despite my skin tone, it was like I wasn't, again, Black enough to have Black hairstyles too. So it was, again, I was just never in the conversation when it came to hair. And I remember looking at like perm magazines and stuff like that, where the Black women were so beautiful and they would have these like chic hairstyles and like cut hair that were like really close to their head. And I literally was like, I want my hair to look like that. Like that's what I want. Because it brought me closer to my Blackness.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all of the possibilities it holds?
I would honestly say in college, when I pledged AKA, I learned the most about my hair because I didn't know, like, pin and curls. No idea what a pin and curl was. Do I pin and curl all the time now? 100%. And that was such a pinnacle moment. And it was junior year of college where I learned that, oh, not only my hair can be like the wet and go curly, which is what this is an example of that. I got out of the shower, I put curl cream in, and I just left it. Or oftentimes I straightened it a lot growing up, but I guess we could talk about that at a different time.
Well, I think we all had our flat ironing and scalp burning days, dark times.
Yeah, definitely.
In a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now, and why would you choose these words?
I love my hair so much. Like, I love the versatility of my hair. Fortunately, I was raised with the idea of like you can change your hair, not having an attachment that whatever hairstyle I had was permanent. Don't be afraid to cut your hair. So I've had pixie cuts, I've had bobs, I've had my hair all the way down my back. I dyed it for the first time. You can't really see it, but I have an appointment because of this conversation. Ooh, let me put up a pin and get my hair dyed. So just taking risks with my hair. I shaved both sides and had like a mohawk. That was the time. So yeah, that's what I love the most. And I would say the last part too is I really learned to love it when I was looking at my like baby cousin who's about, I think she's 14 now, maybe 13 now. So I'm about 13, 14 years older than her. And when she was younger, she felt pressure to straighten her hair all the time because she grows up in South Orange too. So she's friends with a lot of white. And I told her, I was like, do you realize how beautiful your natural curls are and that you can do whatever you want? Certain people only have straight hair and they can't do the versatility that your hair can do. And then she proudly like went into her elementary school the next day saying, I can do whatever I want with my hair and you can't. And though I don't condone that, the amount of pride that came out of that is absolutely amazing. So
That's beautiful. Thank you for encouraging this young Black queen to embrace her tresses and curls and all of their beauty and glory. And thank you for sharing about your different hairstyles. I was really hoping to hear about that because you have done everything from like a pixie cut to a bob to the fro hawk and mohawk. So yeah, thank you for being so adventurous with your hair. And thank you for sharing your voice on this space. I'm really glad that we got to hear from you and your perspective and just growing up kind of in that middle ground of hair.
Oh, can I mention my last hair that was very significant was when I did box braids for the first time. And that what happened last year. And it was very scary for me because that was like coming into meeting my inner child who was very afraid and confused about her identity to like my 28-year-old self, realizing like I am Black enough to have these braids. Truly, that was my thought. I was scared that I was not Black enough for so many years that it wasn't appropriate or necessary. I even had a fear of that I was appropriating my own culture because it wasn't like a, a, a hair. It wasn't necessary, I guess, for my hair, whatever even that means.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was able to get these braids, I felt so poppin'. Like I was like taking photos with the longest of hair because I finally was able to connect to it and like ignore all of the voices that kept saying my hair was too white to have this style growing up. So that was like the biggest moment for me.
Thank you. There's nothing like a fresh set of box braids and like after the tightness had just loosened out a little bit.
Because I did, let us not pretend that I didn't call you right after when my shit was like this. And I was like, well, it's just like this.
It's like, yes, this is normal.
And you're like, you immediately start laughing before I even said anything. It was like, it will loosen up in a few days.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And yeah, just really appreciate your voice in this space, Eva.
Thank you for including me in this very important conversation that I've always wanted to be a part of. And I love hearing all the stories that all of these beautiful people have been expressing, and I can't wait to hear more. So thank you.
Thank you.
How do I hang up? Will you do it?
No, I actually don't know how to do it, but there is a way that you can do it, I think.
I will. Okay, I left.
Okay, cool. All right, now we've got Sierra on here. And after Sierra, we will have two more folks, and they are Princess and Vanessa. Hi, Sierra. How are you?
Hi, Jill. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining. Sierra is an advocate for open expression and vulnerability, specifically within Black queer communities. Sierra, can you please introduce your name and pronouns, please?
Yes, I'm Sierra. My pronouns are she, they, but I also don't really care.
Thank you for joining. So to start off, can you describe how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen in one word, and why this word?
I have been listening to everybody's word and trying to decide what the right word was. I think the word I would choose is definitely, and I'm hoping, am I
No,
breaking
you're
up
good.
at all? Okay. I would probably choose proud because I grew up in the church. I grew up with very long, straight, pressed hair. And it was always like very drilled into me that I should be like proud of my hair and like all the length of it. And yeah, so I grew up very like protective over it.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I mean, all of the opinions that get put on our hair and how we perceive our own hair as kids, it's a lot to deal
Right.
with. Who did your hair growing up, and how old were you when you became responsible for your hair?
I got a perm, surprise, surprise. And I got it when I was like 6. And then my mom realized like what a bad mistake it was and tried to grow it out. And so I spent time like for most of my childhood into high school, like growing out my perm. And I got it pressed, not by me. My mother did it or somebody else did it. And then, of course, I got a texturizer. Like somebody else said, just another perm. So I got a texturizer to give me a little body wave and feel good about myself. But I didn't start really doing my own hair for real, until I was a freshman in college, and I was completely on my own.
Scary terrains.
I know.
What was your go-to hairstyle in middle school and high school? Was
Oh,
it?
girl. It was a press. If it was the summer, I had the shoulder length kinky twist. I felt rocking too. I was like throwing them around. Um, but yeah, I had a press, a straight like press out. But I joined sports, and I from then on I did not have my little silky press out. I had my puffy press out because I was always sweating, and it was always humid, and I was out there looking like James Brown.
Been there,
Right.
done that. Um, what's one memory that you have that stands out that didn't make you feel good about your hair?
Um, hmm. I would say I'm actually gonna give you two. So I would say the first one when I was like pretty young, summer, my mom was taking out said kinky twist. I think actually I had gotten micros. She had let me get micros exactly once. I don't know why, but I had micro braids and she was cutting them out and she cut too high and she took off like 2, 3 inches of hair and I was in tears for days. I was so sad because like everybody had been instilling in me like I needed to grow my hair as long as I could. And my hair grows super, super fast. So like it's always been something that people say to me. And it was really like, I don't know, I felt so bad about myself, even though it actually like wasn't bad at all. And then the second one was much later when I actually did big chop and I dyed my hair red. It started looking kind of weird, kind of orange, and I decided to dye it back. And they just dyed it really dark. And so I just felt like I had my little like no shape round afro and the hair was too dark and I felt like I just didn't want anybody to look at me. I felt so terrible.
Oh gosh. Yes to both of those. Like I feel like every time I took my braids out is when I felt like, don't look at me.
Yeah.
um, yeah, people really were instilling in us that you had to grow your hair from as long as you could from a young age. And I definitely
Right.
always cut, I think this side too short whenever I took my braids out, like without fail, every single time. Um, When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all the possibilities that it holds?
When I cut it off in college, my hair definitely, I think like a lot of people, like it changes curl pattern and sometimes like texture depending on how long it is. So right now my hair is really short and it's really straight and it feels really like straight down to my head. When it's big and curly, it's much like thicker. But it was just kind of limp. I had the remnants of a texturizer and I didn't like it. And my cousin convinced me to cut off all my hair, and I hadn't had it like short like that. I kind of had it like short in the back, a little bit longer in the front. Um, and I was just like, I felt so powerful. And I was only like 18. Like I had no business feeling that powerful, but I was like, I felt like I could run the world. And then I started just like radically changing my hair constantly, and it's made me feel like I can like bring myself into like new stages of life, like new stages of dress, all of these different cool things, which is so nice.
Mm, love that for you and love that for 18-year-old Sierra.
Mm.
Uh, in a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now and why these words?
Um, Now I would say I would feel very in touch with my hair. I feel like I understand it. I mean, when I tell you I have, and Jewel, you have known me through just a short amount of those hairstyles. I have bleached it, turned it blue, turned it purple, cut it all off, grown it out. Like I've done so much to and with my hair that I feel like I've gotten to a place where I'm very like I'm in touch with the hair itself, and I'm also in touch with like how it makes me feel and like how what I need to do and like how I need to change it to make myself feel the way I want to feel. And I really like that. I like that it's something that people definitely stigmatize, but it's something that makes me like unique and makes like Black women unique, and that we can do that.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing about your hair journey and hair experiences and taking power over your hair by cutting it off and dyeing it and coloring it. And you've rocked every single one of those hair colors so beautifully.
Thanks.
But yeah, thank you for sharing your voice on the space.
Thank you for giving me the space. And I want to plug this podcast that I was just on called The Edges Podcast that is also about hair. And I did an interview over there, but the entire podcast was just about like Black women and their hair. So I'll put it in your comments, but somebody
Please
else
do.
runs it and I think it's awesome. So I just want to give them their clout.
Definitely check them out. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Sierra. And next up, we've got Princess and then Vanessa, and then we'll be done for the evening, everyone. Thanks so much for folks who have been here the whole time, who've popped in and popped out. We appreciate all of you. But let me get this request over to our next speaker, and we'll be on our way.
Hey.
Hi, Princess. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks
Princess
for
is a
having me.
no problem. Princess is a psychotherapist and veterinarian technician. And can you please introduce your name and pronouns for us?
My name is Princess, and my pronoun is she and her.
Thank you. Can you describe how you felt about your hair as a child or teen in one word and why you chose this word?
So the word I would choose would be ashamed. And I chose this word because I oftentimes would hear things like, oh, your hair's too nappy. It's thick, it's coarse, it's hard to maintain. And just a lot of ridicule about, my hair. And anybody who did it was like, oh, this girl's hair. And I had a lot of it. And it's coarse.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted to, like manage it or do it. My mother included.
Yeah, no, definitely hear that. So who did your hair growing up and how old were you when it became your responsibility?
So mostly growing up, my mom and my sister were in charge of my hair, mainly my eldest sister, and she would keep it in braids. And when she went away to college, I would keep those braids in until she came home for break. Because
Strategy.
my mom was like, just leave it in. Your sister will be home in a couple of months because she didn't want to do it.
Mm. And what was your go-to hairstyle once you started to do your own hair?
Braids.
Braids.
Yeah,
Nice.
braids. Braids were
Same.
definitely my go-to hairstyle, and I became responsible for my hair uh, probably like 17, 16, 17.
Mm. When do you remember, or sorry, what's one memory that you have that stands out that didn't make you feel good about your hair?
Oh, I was like in sixth or seventh grade, and my sister had gone away to college, and my mom did a home relaxer, you know, the one you buy at the beauty supply store. Yeah. So
Just for
she had,
kids.
yeah,
Or
yes,
sorry, just for
yeah, yeah,
me.
just for me, yeah, something like that. She had done that, and it like singed my hair. And my sister came home, and my hair was just breaking off because like it wasn't maintained. And she was like, "We're gonna have to cut your hair, princess." And I was like, "What? Cut my hair? Like cut it how?" And she was like, "We have to cut it to like the new growth so that it's like smooth again."
Sorry, one second.
Okay.
Definitely hit the mute button, please. Thank you. All right, please continue.
Yeah, so she was like, "We're gonna have to cut it to like the new growth," and the new growth was probably like this long. Um, and so she cut it, and you know, middle school, worst time. I went to school with like a little fro, and like she put this little like butterfly hair um, clip in it that like was three-dimensional, so it like flapped every time I walked, and I got made fun of. And I did that whole week. I dreaded. I was like, I don't want to go back to school. Don't make me, please. You have to braid my hair. Like, no. Um, so yeah, that sixth or seventh grade, I was like, this is awful. And then as soon as my sister came home, she braided my hair, and I kept those in.
Oh, yes. Strategy was always so key. I remember planning out my calendar weekends and just the year by like, when am I taking my hair out? When am I putting the
Hmm.
braids back in? We have to do
Yep.
it, one day after the other.
Yep. So nobody
Um,
can see the transition.
exactly. When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all of the possibility that it holds?
When I went natural, so like I guess that was like 2015. I went natural, and I had short hair at the time, so I had like a little like fro about this big, and I colored it. I had my sides shaved, and I just did all these cool, cute hairstyles with it, and I just loved it and felt so free and comfortable. I also learned about my hair, like what to use, what products to use, what not to use. How often I could color it and wash it and stuff like that. So it showed a new light of like, okay, you could do this, you can manage it. You don't have just nappy hair. Like, that's unmanageable.
Exactly. The learning curve.
Yeah, the learning curve, it's real.
Yes, definitely. And then in a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now and why these words?
Now I am completely enamored with my hair, and you know an understanding of it. I know what it needs. I love it. It's versatile, uh, and like I'm confident about it, which I never had before. And I love my locks, team locks. Um,
Locks.
so yeah, completely enamored and understanding of it. I know what it needs, and I can manage it.
Exactly. Manageable,
Yeah,
and we just keep learning and growing with our hair as our hair
yeah,
grows and we change it.
for
Um,
sure.
but thank you so much for joining us, Princess. I really
Of
appreciate you
course.
sharing your
Thanks for
your voice
having
on
me.
this space.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming.
Thank you. I'm glad I could be included. So let me
Yay.
figure out how to get out of this really
Good
quickly.
luck. And last but not least, we've got Vanessa coming up. Vanessa, I'm about to add you now. But yeah, I hope everyone has enjoyed learning about people's hair journeys. This has been super eye-opening for me. I know that I keep seeing the common thread of people really kind of feeling power over their hair in college. Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, Jewel. Can you
What?
hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for joining. Vanessa works in supply chain and vertical farming. Can you introduce your name and pronouns for us, please?
Yeah. So Vanessa and she, her are my pronouns.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and we saved the best for last. Can you please describe how you felt about your hair as a child or a teen in one word and why?
Yeah, I think the one word that I would use is dissatisfied. Just because I felt like, my hair wasn't the way I wanted it to be. I didn't have the knowledge of, I thought that it couldn't do what I wanted it to do, and it just didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. So I was just pretty much like dissatisfied with it
Yeah,
as a child. Yeah.
I totally hear that. um,
Yep.
and yeah, didn't know how to make it do the things that I envisioned
Hmm.
it on my head doing. First,
Yeah.
I
I
tried
just
was a
thought,
complete failure.
just thinking it wasn't possible.
Yeah. So, who did your hair growing up, and how old were you when you became responsible for your hair?
So growing up, I stayed in the African braid shop. So they were responsible for doing my hair. No one in my family ever did my hair. I, had been getting box braids from a very young age, and that was the style. So yeah, I was, African braid shop. And then in terms of becoming responsible, I think I was able to like choose my own hairstyle, but I wasn't necessarily again doing my own hair. So that was probably in like middle school, when I started getting tracks for the first time. So I was getting like sewn in tracks. I had a middle part, like the 10 inches, the inward curl, and I was like, finally, like this is it. Like I have the hair that like I've always wanted. And yeah, and I was just always, like having this tracks in my hair, and yeah, that's when I started becoming responsible, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, I remember. We went
Yep.
to middle school together. I remember.
And I
I
always had
remember.
like the like a thin headband,
Yeah.
like pushing it back. I was like, this is it. Like,
Oh, same. The headband was an important part of the hair
uh-huh,
formula in middle
yep.
school for me too.
And I
Um,
had the leave out too. So like my hair was permed. I had the tracks and then I had my leave out, so like it looked real.
yes, love the leave out. I only got a weave one time, and it was for prom, and so I
Yep.
was so annoyed by how the humidity was just trying to like show
Mm-hmm.
the magic trick happening, right?
Yeah.
Um, so what was what's one memory that you have that stands out that didn't make you feel good about your hair?
So I think last summer, I actually went to Nigeria for the first time, and I was getting my hair braided, and the hairdresser was just not happy with my hair, like complaining that it was so strong was the word that she was using. Like, oh, her hair is very, 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 very strong. Like I had to blow dry her hair, blah blah blah. And I was just like, hold up, like I'm confused. Like my own people, like I'm West African, so I was just like, how is this like a thing? But obviously, like I know there are a lot of problematic things, still going on back home with Black women and their hair. But yeah, I definitely felt really bad. And they did, like, I think she asked if I wanted to like steam my hair and like all these things, but I'm just like, I was like, I'm here to just get my hair braided. Like, can we just braid my hair, stop complaining, like, all the things. But she was trying to suggest that I do all these different things to my hair to make it easier for her to braid. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I'm sorry that happened so recently at that.
Yeah,
Uh,
last year. And
wow.
after that, I was considering, I was really like, maybe I should just get a texturizer. Like, if everyone's really complaining about my, hair texture and the thickness, then I was like, maybe, I gotta do something about it.
But she described your hair perfectly as strong, so I don't
But
like. I
that
think
was a
everyone wants strong
in like
hair.
as a negative, adjective.
Yeah, she used it wrong, but I think that
Yeah.
that's the adjective that most folks are looking for when it comes to their
Yeah.
hair. When do you remember truly falling in love with your hair and all of the possibilities that it holds?
I think again last year. So I mean, I guess like, yeah, if we're talking about like the hair that grows out of my head in its natural state, right? Because I've always had like protective hairstyles that I've loved. Like I've had every single type of braid style you can imagine. And I love my braids. I love protective styles. I think, it's
right now I think it's like my best look, any type of braided hair. But in terms of falling in love with my, my hair, I would say last year when I finally went to um, like a specialist, natural hair, black woman specialist who told me, she affirmed me for the first time ever, like in a way that I had never experienced. And, actually knew how to take care of my hair, like taught me so many things. That first visit, I saw my real hair pattern, or my real, the curl of my hair pattern for the very first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like this is so beautiful. Like I was very just like happy, obsessed. She even like shaped my hair for me. And yeah, I was like, this is the start of something new. I think it was the weekend when we were in Delaware, and I wore my like hair tapered, and out for like the first time. And so yeah, that was, very recent, but yeah, it just happened last year.
That was, I mean, I loved your hair in that style. We went out that night and everyone who saw Vanessa was like, is this person a model? Like, do you model?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it was, yeah, very, very cool experience.
uh,
Yes, it makes all the difference.
yeah, it does when people know what they're doing. I am
Hmm.
Dempsey said, yes, I have the natural hairstyle, so that makes all the difference.
Hmm.
And Zadia says she loves your taper. I also love
Thanks,
your taper.
Dadia.
In a few words, how would you describe how you feel about your hair now and why these words?
I think the one word I would use is optimistic. Just because, again, I wore my hair in like a natural style and state for the first time last year, and like loved it. Um, before that, I had like the shaved head, which I also, did love that look. But again, there was no hair on my head. So was that really, falling in love with my hair, or, feeling good about my natural hair state? But yeah, I would just say optimistic because I'm more comfortable, with it now. And I just feel like I have hope in terms of, actually taking care of my hair and seeing, where we can go with it in the future. So very optimistic.
I love that as our closing word about hair because I think that there definitely is like a almost like a climax till that you reach that gets actually not sorry that's the wrong way to describe this but there's a moment that you're just like wow there's so much possibility like I can do
Hmm.
whatever I want with my hair whenever I
Hmm.
want to and I just have to plan out the times and the details and the hair colors and there's a
Yeah,
lot of
and
power
go
in
to the
that
right person, right? Like to
and
do
go
the
to the
right
right
thing.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone who's not gonna do you too tightly
Yep.
and try to like rip your scalp out.
Uh-huh. Exactly. And know how
um,
to actually comb through like natural hair.
Yeah, and also you mentioned someone blow drying your hair. I think that there's no greater assault that you can commit to a black person's kinky hair than to try to blow dry hair. Like
Hmm.
that's just don't do it,
Like
please.
it was washed, but it wasn't, there was no like deep condition, there was no steam, there was no detangling. Like it was just, we're getting through this whether we have to rip it out or not because I can't braid this thick hair.
And that's someone who doesn't want to see you succeed in life. Just be on the lookout. um, but thank you, Vanessa. I really appreciate you being on this space and sharing your hair journey and experiences.
Thanks, Jewel, and thanks for all that you do in this space every week.
Oh,
So,
thank you, thank you.
keep it on.
We will be here every Wednesday at 6, everybody.
All
Um,
right.
well, thanks, Vanessa, and then thank you to our guest speakers, and we hope you enjoyed learning more and just learning more about Black women's hair and our hair health and our hair journeys and experiences on this Women's Wednesdays with Whitman-Walker Health. Next week, we're going to talk about more hair care tips and tricks for Black women's hair health as we all kind of learn more about prevalent health data as it relates to Black women's hair. Again, thank you all. Thank you to all of my friends, family, sisters, ladies in my life who joined and talked about their hair health and hair experiences. I really, really value your voices and narratives in this space, and just thank you so much. And finally, it's still COVID-19. So before we go, we want to give you a few reminders about COVID-19 and vaccines. If you've already gotten vaccinated, congratulations. You have taken a really important step to helping prevent you and your loved ones from getting sick. Multiple variants have been soaring since the beginning of the pandemic. So It's important to understand that the COVID-19 vaccine isn't 100% effective at preventing new cases of COVID-19, but it is effective at preventing death and hospitalization and severe illness from COVID-19. So as more contagious variants continue to spread, please make sure that you're following the latest protocols that are in place to keep you and your loved ones safe, and just great job getting vaccinated. If you haven't been vaccinated and you're looking for an appointment, Whitman-Walker Health has a vaccine available. Everyone who's ages 12 and up is eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. Please call us at 202-207-2480 to make an appointment. And if you're having trouble making an appointment with us, you can connect with vaccinate.dc.gov or call 1-855-363-0333. This is for DC residents. You can visit covidlink.maryland.gov or call 1-855-634-6829 if you're a Maryland resident. And for Virginia residents, you can visit vaccinate.virginia.gov or call 1-877-829-4682. If you haven't been vaccinated yet and you're not looking for an appointment, please continue to follow CDC guidelines for mask wearing, quarantining, social distancing, and the like. It's very important that you consider getting the vaccine and discuss COVID precautionary measures with those around you, but be mindful of mask and keep your distance, but especially when you don't know whether a person who is near you has been vaccinated or not. Please remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Whitman-Walker, and check our website, www.whitman-walker.org, for the most up-to-date information on our services. And for more COVID-19 resources and general Whitman-Walker services, please call 202-797-4439. You can call that same number if you need to schedule an HIV or an STI testing appointment. And please also follow our Whitman-Walker Health families and programs at RealTalkDC_ and at NoFilterDC. Thank you all so much. Thanks for sticking around for an hour and 15 minutes of Instagram Live. This is the longest we've had so far. But appreciate you all, appreciate your voices in the space, and wishing you a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye.